Welcome everyone. Coach Reslow here from ResV Systems. Hope everyone is well. We're almost at the Christmas time, holiday time. Well, we're in the holidays, but Christmas is right around the corner. We've already started Hanukkah, so I love the holidays. This is my favorite time. We've also got a lot of volleyball going on. Clubs volleyball is doing a lot of work, and one of the things that's come across my purview lately is the idea of trash talking, what that's all about, how that works, all that fun stuff. So, figured I'd make a quick video talking about it. So, one of the things that comes to mind when you start talking about trash talking and chirping at opponents and whatnot is, what's the value in that? Some people get motivated through it. Some people play better when they're angry. I don't know. I've never been that type of player. Usually, when I talk trash, it meant things were not going well for me. And usually, when people were talking to me and I was engaged with them talking back, my level dropped because I was more emotionally invested in what was going on between me and whoever I was talking with than actually focusing on the game and doing my job to the best of my ability. I do know that there's a place for it. I do know that some of the greats in sports talk major trash. I mean, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Tom Brady. Uh, the list goes on and off. People that talk during matches and games to get an advantage. Um, and it's not just, it's everywhere. And I get it. I understand it. I've seen it in matches. I've seen it in volleyball games. I've seen it on different sports, football, baseball, basketball, you name it. People talking trash and chirping at their opponents and trying to get a mental and emotional advantage. The way I like to deal with it, especially when I'm working with high school students or college students for that matter, is that there has to be some sort of an understanding about, is there any value you get from going in that direction, right? So if you're one of those people that can talk and that motivates you to perform at a higher level without absolutely insulting your opponent. So one of the things that I believe in as a coach at the college level, high school level, what have you, is that we respect our opponents. We try to be humble, we try to respect our opponents, we try to not give them any fuel to come back and get us or play at a high level during the match. We want them to be almost in a subdued manner. We want them to be overwhelmed. Oh my goodness, we can't stop these guys. Or oh my goodness, these guys are just so good. That's what we're trying to do. So if we're talking and we're motivating them, we're not getting the right result. Or, the person who's talking, like me back when I played, the level would drop. You have to sort of, like with anything else in this world, you have to weigh the risk reward. What are you getting out of it versus what are you losing, and that type of thing. But the other thing too is, if you're Michael Jordan, if you're Tom Brady, if you're an elite player, someone in the professional level who's playing at an elite zone, right? Well, those guys talk, and gals, they talk to get a mental advantage over their opponent. And they're so good that they were able to chirp away and create a defeatist mentality for their opponent, right? You got Michael Jordan telling you he's going to dunk on you and he does it. Like there's almost this like, geez, he just called a shot and he did it right like he said he would, and now we're toast. And they're sort of like, well, if he can do that, then there's not much we can do. And that's, I think, and for guys at that level, Mike, Tom, whomever. I mean, I know I'm leaving out a ton of great players. Charles Barkley. I mean, I just don't have enough. my my old brain doesn't have enough power to remember all the great players who talk trash. There's been so many and so many different sports. But the point is, if you're at that level, you're using it to motivate yourself, and you're looking to create a mental and emotional advantage against your opponent and create a sense of defeatism. But for the normal athlete, the normal college athlete, even the normal really good college athlete, and you can put high school in front of that as well, oftentimes it's not about motivation. It's not about creating this feeling that you can of defeatism, although I'm sure that's part of it. But a lot of it's looking at it and going, hey, this kid that I got to talk trash to, or I'm talking trash to, is really good. And if I can get a mental advantage or an emotional advantage on him, we're going to keep him in check. And I think that happens more now at the college and high school level than the idea of what the elites could do of athletes. Again, Jordan, Pippen, whomever, Rodman. I mean, the whole Chicago Bulls team did talked a lot of trash. So did the Celtics, for that matter, of the '80s. 86, right? Yeah, I mean, sure, Danny Ainge talked a lot of trash too. But point of the story, and I'm a basketball guy, so I know that better. I played collegiate ball for a little bit, but so I think what's normally happening with the high school guys is that it's trying to keep a very good player in check. And that's one of the reasons why, and all the teams that I work with will attest to this. I preach the idea of we don't do any talking until the job's over with. I played my best ball, and I believe most people play their best ball when there's an ignorance and ignoring of people chirping at you, right? Like you're really good, and they're talking trash to you to try to bring you down to their level so that they can beat you. So why would we even entertain that idea? Right? Like let's just focus on the job. Let's focus on each other. Your teammates, making a really good situation, executing the game plan, executing plays when they happen, and then if you want to talk a little trash after you win, I guess I'm okay with that. Again, as long as it's respectful. We're not looking for to really degrade or insult an opponent to the point where anger boils over and there's violence. We never want to go in that direction. But a little bit of cheeky talk never hurt anybody, and certainly after the job's done. But while the job's occurring, unless you're super elite like MJ, like your goal has to be to really block that nonsense out and focus on the job, and then focus on your teammates, and then focus on creating a positive environment so that you can do the things that need to be done at a high level, and hopefully that leads to wins, and and then you get to chirp a little bit. But it's always a tough thing because in sports in general, there is this idea, and rightfully so, of sportsmanship. We want to respect our opponent, but at the same time, a little fun jawing never hurt anybody. It's just when it boils over into extreme stuff where we're saying some really awful things. We don't want to be in that world, and we don't want to be in the same situation where people are saying those things to us and it degrades our level. Uh, I know one of the things that I talk with people of my age, I'm a Gen Xer, I'm in my mid 40s now, is that, what's allowed to be said by fans and opponents now they try is not nothing like the one I played. I mean, I was called some horrible things. When I was playing pretty good ball, like people used to say some pretty rough things and that was just part of the show. And I know if you're a professional athlete, like you're playing in venues where people are paying top dollar and they feel they can say whatever the hell they want to you. And it's not right. And sometimes it's really, really wrong. Um, but back when I played, it was about having tough skin and you had to sort of block it out and perform no matter what. And that's there's sort of value in that. Hey, like sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. You can call me whatever you want, but I'm still going to excel. You can't bring me down to your level. And I think that has merit now. I think there's value in that. And that's sort of, again, if you wheel back what I talked about a moment earlier, where, for my teams, I want us to not talk at all until the job is done. I want us to be focused on each other, focused on the job, ignore whatever the clowns are saying, and then just beat them. And then once you beat them, if you want to give them a little, give them a little chirp to let them know, that's perfectly fine in my world. Again, all with the idea that we're being respectful. We never want to go too far the other direction. So that's sort of where I'm at on trash talking, right? Like, if you're not going to get an advantage from it, I'd rather have, and you're not going to do it right. I was a terrible trash talker. I was not good. So if you're not going to do it like if you don't have the ability to say things like Mike and like Larry that are really good chirping but respectful, because even though Mike used to say some stuff and Larry said a ton of stuff, and again I'm using those two as examples because the first come to my mind. There's many great athletes who talk. You can't do it artfully like those guys do. You probably shouldn't. And again, if it affects your performance, you really got to get out of there. Because what the last thing I'll leave you with is this: is that if you do choose to play that game of chirping, talking trash, you're gonna eat your words at some point. Somebody's gonna beat you. You're gonna talk, and they're gonna talk back, and you're gonna say some things, and they're gonna say some things. And next thing you know, they actually win, and you don't. And you're gonna have to eat it, and that's not fun. It's way easier to just keep your mouth shut, work hard, focus on your teammates, and then if you fall short and you lose, you're not eating any words. You gave your best, you worked as hard as you could, you played as well as you could, just didn't fall your way. But if you're talking trash and you're saying a lot of stuff and it doesn't bounce your way, you got to sit and take it. Like there's no running away at that point. And I think it's another thing that youngsters don't necessarily understand. If you're going to play that game and you're going to talk a lot of trash, you're going to eat something at the end if you lose. And that's the price you pay for playing that game. It's a chance that it'll happen. And at the end, if for quote unquote the bad guys win and you don't, you can't run and hide. You got to sit and take it. Like that's just the way it goes. If I know in our sport in volleyball, once the match is over, you shake hands with everybody, to go do it. Head held high, shake hands, and just take it because you played that game and you lost. So there's high risk, high reward with that situation, I guess is what I'm trying to sputter out. And I chose as an athlete to not go that direction because I wasn't good at it. My level decreased when I tried to do it. And more often than not, if I talk crap, we would lose, and then I'd have to sit there and take what was coming. And I didn't want to. So I chose what I thought was the better situation, which is I'm just going to keep my mouth closed. I'm going to ignore all these people. I'm going to play to the highest ability I can, play at the highest level I can with the ability that I have. I guess that's a better sentence than what I just said. And then just do it and let the chips fall where they may. And that's not to say, like, the other thing too is that if people are talking trash to you and it's funny, it's okay to laugh. you know, Like I had one guy, when I was playing basketball in college, I had one guy who was convinced I had to wear a mask because I broke my nose and I had this mask, and he was really stuck on the idea that, dude, family operas for theater, you're not supposed to be here, that type of thing. And it was funny. Like all I could do is laugh and go, yo, man, I hear you. I had another guy most recently when I played in the upper 35 league. I had a guy talk a little trash to me at the free throw line. I was playing basketball and I got fouled for the free throw line. And the dude's like, "Hey, Rez, bouncing the ball too many times at free throw line, you can't make it from there. Too many bounces." And I said, "Yep, you're right." And I just bounced once and scored. Hit the free throw. But again, it's all in good fun, and I was laughing about it. I thought it was funny. But the moment that your emotion, in my system, by the way, going off on another tangent, but in my system, emotion's a big deal. Like we don't want to be too emotional because even if you're feeling good, there's always an ebb and flow. And if you're at the top of emotion, it's going to come down like a roller coaster and you're going to have to deal with the bottom. So the higher you go up, the lower you go down. So you want to stay in the middle. So if you're talking trash and it gets emotional, like you start feeling angry, you start feeling like, you know, fight or flight type feelings, then it's probably not for you. Like chirping should be funny for most of us. Again, I want to one more time clarify the separation between professional level athletes, elite athletes in the world versus normal high school and college, even very good college athletes. You want to be mentally tough, you want to be emotionally sound, you want to be able to compete and perform at the highest level. And being able to sort of laugh off some guy who's chirping at you is actually, I think, more valuable than engaging and trying to go into this, lack of a better term, peeing contest about who can do what and when. Uh, just to, just to laugh and go, "No, that's a good one," and then move on and score 30 on them or get 15 kills or 2 big blocks or whatever. Worry more about your team than yourself. So that's my thoughts on trash talking and chirping. Um, Hope it's valuable. Hope you guys are all doing well, and looking forward to. Well, we got a big tournament coming up this weekend, and there's more volleyball coming. There's more everything coming. The holidays are a beautiful time, so I hope everyone's well, and I'll see you on the flip side.